their agenda is an agenda of fear. This is what they're saying to us. If you want a great North Carolina, then make sure people can get a gun easier than they can vote. That's
the right to vote is a right that has been paid for by the blood.
When voting rights are under attack, what do we do?
And we're going to let the government members of the General Assembly know that you were elected by the people to do the work of the people.
I matter to God. Governor, do I matter to you?
I matter to God. Governor, do I matter to you?
Respect! Respect! The constitutional rights of all people! Of all people!
And so here we stand as young people. It's now our time to take up and pick up where they're letting go.
It is these poor white Southerners who are so often without health care, who are underpaid and need a raise in the minimum wage.
Voters should have the right to vote, and we will fight for that every day. For everybody.
It's our time. It's our time. It's our vote. It's our vote. It's our time. It's our time. It's our vote. It's our vote. It's our time. It's our time. It's our vote. It's our vote. Good afternoon. My name is Reverend Dr. William J. Barber, President of the North Carolina NAACP. I'm joined today with a host of our friends, including our Executive Director, the Reverend Michelle Laws, and our HKonJ Coordinator for the Forward Together Moral March on Raleigh, the Reverend Curtis Gatewood. We all have flyers today because today we are making a special announcement about the Forward Together Moral Movement's Mass Moral March on Raleigh, HKonJ People's Assembly, Get Out the Vote, Gathering and Mobilization. This is the 10th anniversary of the Forward Together Moral Movement holding our HKonJ People's Assembly with a moral emphasis. February the 13th, 2016, and the opening rally begins at 9 o'clock a.m. right across from Memorial Auditorium and Shaw University, and the march begins at 10 o'clock, will lead us down to Fayetteville Street right in front of the state capitol, and there we will have our mass People's Assembly and Get Out to Vote gathering and mobilization. Why do we march and gather and we'll have this mobilization? Because here in North Carolina, all eyes are on North Carolina because we have the worst voter suppression tactics in the country. Scholars, legal scholars throughout the nation are saying that what is happening in North Carolina will determine what happens in the courts and in voting rights throughout our nation, and especially throughout the South. And so we have themed this march, this rally, as this is our Selma, this is our time, this is our vote. We are fighting in the legislative halls. We are fighting in the courtrooms. But we are also determined to fight and organize in the street and to show up at the ballot box. We may not be able to overcome all of the voter suppression tactics, but we will certainly try, and we will certainly mobilize. Even as we fight to end these tactics in the courts, we will fight to overcome them in the street and at the ballot box. Now, be very clear, the North Carolina NAACP is a part of the grand tradition of the NAACP that was first founded by whites and blacks, Jews, and Christians. From its inception, the NAACP has not been a black organization, but an organization of different people fused together to deal with racial injustice and racial inequality. We are a fusion coalition made up of over 170 organizations throughout North Carolina. We are black, we are white, we are Native American, we are Latino, we are Asian, we're straight, we're gay, we're young, we're old, we're people of every faith. We have come together because we believe in an America and a state that goes forward and does not take one step back. We also know that we are in a time of reconstruction, transformation in America. And there are those who are pushing the so-called solid South, white Southern strategy into the 21st century. They want to keep a hold on the South. We know right now the demographics have shifted. If just 20 to 30% of African Americans are registered and vote and not suppressed in the South, and that's added to progressive whites and added to our Latino brothers and sisters, there is no more solid South. The South is broken open, and if you break open the South, you break open the nation. We also challenge what we believe is a heretical form of religiosity that suggests that if you are an evangelical, that you are on the side of those who would deny health care and deny voting rights and deny fair tax policies to the working poor and deny programs for the poor. We are, in fact, made up of people who are deeply theologically conservative. I am, who are evangelical, because we believe that if you read the scriptures of any of our faiths in a true form, you cannot help but be a progressive. You cannot help but care for the poor, and care for women, and care for children, and care for education, and care for justice. And we are going to challenge that heretical notion. That's what the Forward Together moral movement is about. We look at policies based on not personality, but are those policies morally defensible, constitutionally consistent, and economically sane. We know what's on the ballot. It's not merely a governor or a president. Sure, they're on the ballot. We elect president this year. We elect governors and legislators and senators and county commissioners and city council persons and DAs. But the way we look at policy, because of the power of voting, health care is on the ballot. Where we go in terms of education is on the ballot. Addressing poverty is on the ballot. Living wages is on the ballot. Voting rights is on the ballot. Immigrant rights are on the ballot. The rights of women is on the ballot. Labor unions and collective bargaining is on the ballot. Criminal justice reform, Black Lives Matter, environmental justice, negotiation over war, how we treat the LGBT community, all of those things are on the ballot. How we treat our Muslim brothers and sisters, because the people we elect set the policies and the tone in every one of these areas. That's right. And that's what we look at. All that we do connects to voting right. That's why in 1957, when Dr. King made his first prayer pilgrimage to D.C., he preached a sermon where he said, "Give us the ballot." Well, we won the ballot. Now there are those who are trying to suppress the ballot. We will not stand down. That's right. We will not stand down. The right to vote is sacred. We won it when people left churches, the altars at churches, and prayed because they knew in a few feet they would be beaten down in the street. But they walked by faith and not by sight. Too much blood has been shed for us to turn back now. And so we are going to mount this massive Get Out to Vote rally. The speakers this year to the media will be people impacted by the policies. Those who were denied Medicaid will speak. Teachers who have lost their jobs or students who've been hurt. Persons who need a living wage. Immigrants and who are in fear of being deported will be the speakers, and they will make the call for other North Carolinians to join us in a massive turnout to the vote and to protect the right to vote. We will also have moral leaders who will speak on the moral imperative that we vote. Now this year, lastly, we have some ambassadors. Who are our ambassadors for the march? Well, first, those 1,000 people that got arrested. That's right. All of the persons that got arrested in the Moral Monday, we're asking them to put on their green armbands again. That's right. And to show up. That's right. And be a part of this gathering. Our matriarchs who have led us in this 3-year voting battle. Ms. Rosanelle Eaton, 93 years old, ambassador. Ms. Mary Perry, over 80 years old, ambassador. Ms. Carolyn Q. Coleman, who's still fighting and continues to fight and has fought ever since she was first arrested at 15 years old in Georgia. She'll be one of our ambassadors. We've also invited Jim Forbes, who used to be the great pastor at Riverside Church in New York, to come. And on this coming Monday, we will release another set of partners who will be joining us from around the nation, and they will be saying to North Carolina, this is a national movement. The fight here is a national movement. What happens here in voting rights will have implications around the nation. So we have partners who are saying to all of their affiliates in North Carolina, join this movement, join this effort to get out the vote. On that day, we will also have one special guest, and I say special, not that all of them aren't special, but the brother of Andrew Goodman. Andrew Goodman. His name is David Goodman. He's the brother of Andrew Goodman, and he will be a special ambassador. Now, I want to read a letter from him at the end because he kind of sets the tone. Andrew Goodman, you know, was a part of Schwerner, Chaney, and Goodman, a Jewish brother, a black brother, and a white brother that went up to Ohio and got trained for Freedom Summer and then went down and were killed in the Deep South. They were killed. They fighting for the right to vote. So the Voting Rights Act was signed in their blood. And we believe it is a tragedy that 50 years after the signing of the Voting Rights Act, we have less voting rights today than we had 50 years ago. Most of the suppressive moves you see these legislators and governors engaging in, if the Voting Rights Act was in place, Section 5 and pre-clearance, they wouldn't be able to do this. And yet our Congress has carried on a 2-year filibuster under Boehner and McConnell and now Ryan, refusing to even consider or have hearings and bring to the vote the passage of the Voting Rights Act amendment as they were instructed by the Supreme Court to fix the Voting Rights Act. That is longer than Strom Thurmond filibustered the Civil Rights Act of '64. He only did it for 2 days, 36 hours, wasn't even 2 days. This Congress, this extreme Congress, has gone for 2 years and refused to even let the Congress vote, Reverend Laws, on restoring the Voting Rights Act. That's where we are in America right now, which means we have less voting rights today than we had August 7th, 1965, the day after Democrats and Republicans joined together and passed the Voting Rights Act. And that act was signed in the blood of people like Andrew Goodman and Viola Woosa and James Reed and many others, those 4 girls that were blown up in the Birmingham church. I'm going to read his letter finally. Now, for media, I know you all want to know the agenda, so we will be releasing the agenda of the rally, the opening rally, which will be emceed by Reverend Michelle Laws and by Councilman Reuben Blackwell out of Rocky Mount. Then we will march, and that program will be emceed by Reverend Dr. Nancy Petty and Reverend Curtis Gatewood. And we will have the speakers there. At the end, I will do a kind of a non-traditional speech. It will be a call to action, but then right there on the spot, we're going to sign up thousands of people to join our volunteer list. We plan to do get out the vote and voter protection in 55 counties in a deep dive and 90 counties across the state. We're looking for 4,500 volunteers, and we're looking for 3,000 faith communities. This will not just be a march where we march and then go home. That's right. This is a organizing mobilization. That's right. In the public square. Right. Just like we got arrested at the General Assembly, now we're going to arrest the attention of the nation and the attention of the state. And right there, bring your camera, people are going to sign up right there at the end of the march. Clergy will be signing up. Volunteers will be signing up. We don't have the millions of dollars the Koch brothers have and Art Pope has and the millions of dollars that the legislators are using of our own money to fight us. Right. Media, you do realize that they're using taxpayer money to wage a war against taxpayers. Right. Our money. We don't have that. But we got heart. We got courage. We got the memory of the blood of those who died before us. We've got a whole group of folks shouting from heaven, telling us to run on, a great cloud of witnesses. We've got strength. We've got people who are willing to put their lives on the line. That's right. And we will wage this battle just like our foreparents waged it in the past. That's right. Let me read this letter, and we're releasing it to the media today, from our good brother David Goodman. He says, David Goodman, brother of Andrew Goodman, president of the Andrew Goodman Foundation. I am honored to be one of the ambassadors for the Moral March on Raleigh, February 13th. My brother, Andrew Goodman, was murdered. By the Ku Klux Klan in 1964, along with James Chaney and Michael Schwerner, because too many people in this country were willing to allow large numbers of African Americans to be marginalized and lose the right to exercise their vote. Today, because of the gutting of the Voting Rights Act by the Supreme Court 3 years ago, the marginalized citizens not only include African Americans, but also brothers and sisters of Latino descent, the poor, the young, the elderly, and the formerly incarcerated. They have been kept from the polls by restrictive voting rules, masquerading as reasonable requirements and practices. We will be there, along with our Andrew Goodman Foundation Vote Everywhere student ambassadors from 4 North Carolina colleges and their communities to march with Reverend Barbara and all those who believe in the Constitution and the legal and moral right of every citizen to cast a ballot and have a voice in the government. And as they bring their students, our youth here in North Carolina, led by the Youth and College Division of the NAACP and many other youth groups, will lead our march this year, will lead our rally. It will be young people signing up people to be volunteers in this massive army for justice. And as he said, we want everybody to vote. We're not scared of people voting. Seems like the legislature and the governor, they know they can't make their case if everybody votes, so they would rather stifle the vote. We want it black, white, Democrat, Republican vote, because we believe if the case is made, the moral case for forward progress is made, that there's still some goodness in the heart of North Carolina and America, and we will move forward as a state. That's right. Let me ask you, we'll take any questions, but I want you to do something, members of the media. My brother here, the Latino community, we have women here, our executive director, our coordinator, they're here today. We have young people who, I call him young, who are here today. Talk to them. Look at this diverse group. Talk to them. Ask them why are they mobilizing and why are they organizing and why are they participating in building this army. Let me take questions if you have any.
So I would like to know, voter ID is in the court system right now. You know, it's the second closing arguments was earlier this week, I believe. Do you just want to respond to the whole court case, the outcome, which you hope?
Well, part of it, this is part of our response to this mass march, because while we fight in the courts, we had to tell them in the courts, we can't overcome all of these suppressive tactics because they have the money and the mechanism. They've engaged in miseducation. These laws were unnecessary. They are unequal. But we've always, in the cause of justice, had to fight against systems, fight against them in the court while we fought against them in the street. That's been our unusual history in this country. We had to make it through segregated schools while we were fighting to end segregation. So we have to make it through. But I would like to say, and it's important for the media to know this, it's not just voter ID. What we had a case on was the last part of what we took to court. They ended same-day registration and early voting and out-of-precinct voting and straight ticket voting. They even ended the ability for 16 and 17-year-olds to pre-register. So what this is, when you look at it, the combined assault beginning in 2010 when passing the worst voter redistricting plan since the 19th century, that then created apartheid voting districts, that then allowed an extremist group of legislators to win a veto-proof majority, not because the majority of North Carolinians voted for them, because in both of those elections, the majority of North Carolinians voted for a progressive candidate, but because of the way the districts were shaped, they essentially won by trickery. And when you combine that to the fact that they are taking away, trying to take away same-day registration, it'd be one thing if they were trying to prevent us from getting it. Our legislature is literally trying to take away those things that helped North Carolina become in the top 12 of voter participation states in the country when we used to be in the bottom 12. That has helped African Americans move from 42% voting to over 68% voting. This is eerie, it's cynical, and it's dangerous, because what they're suggesting in the court and what Tom Farr was suggesting to his lawyers, and remember, on their side was 4 white men. This is a picture in the court. On our side were Asians, Latinos, Jewish, black, white, male, and female. Think about that picture in the 21st century. That's right. On their side, they didn't have one African American lawyer over there saying take people's vote. And one like Latino. That's right. Right, and pay for it without money. And then on top of that, if you close, sometimes a little learning from a place like North Carolina Central is not bliss. Going to the Shepherd Library is not bliss, because you read, like me, I read the arguments of the past when people stood up and argued for Jim Crow. And you close your eyes and you hear on the first day of February, Black History Month, the same argument. Well, the federal government really has no business because this is a matter of states' rights. And you say, what is going on here? Is I having some kind of strange deja vu? That's right. When you hear lawyers suggest that just because you have a political majority, you can engage in retrogression. You know how dangerous that is to put that in place in jurisprudence? If the courts agree with that, that means this. Anybody that gets elected, once you get elected, no matter what laws have been put on the books to overcome barriers, just because you have a political majority, you can go backwards. Right. That is a dangerous principle. Right. That's right. And so that's why we are fighting at the ballot box and in the court, and also we're organizing the street. This march is a response, because they would not have even changed the voter ID, for instance, the little bit they did. They made it more confusing with reasonable impediment. And by the way, media, please make sure that you don't just say photo ID will be needed. Tell people you can have a photo ID, but if you don't have a photo ID, you can still vote the reasonable impediment. You can vote with or without a photo ID. If you have one, bring it, but get it. But if you don't, you can do reasonable impediment. We don't agree with that either. We think that's second-class citizenship. Because if you vote absentee, you don't have to have any kind of ID. Isn't that strange? If you come in person and you are who you are, you have to have an ID. But if you send it in by mail, you don't have to prove who you are. That's right. I mean, but the point I'm making. That's right. Say it again. What's even stranger is who. Right. You know that whites are more likely to use absentee ballot, and you know that African Americans are 50% more likely not to have a photo ID, and that 300,000 North Carolinians do not have the kind of strict photo ID, and that even a student that's paying state tuition to North Carolina Central, A&T, UNC, or University of Charlotte with a picture ID from a state school would still not. I mean, it's draconian, but it's because they are afraid of this new electorate. That hands that once picked cotton can now join hands. Give me your hand. With Latinos, and then join hands with white. Come in. And see, and that's what they're afraid of, is these three hands joining together and voting in a way that transforms the South. And if you break open the South, you break open the whole nation to a greater form of liberty and justice. And they know that. That's right. And so this is one of the responses. We will fight to overcome what they've done, even as we fight to overturn what they've done. Yes, sir.
Ben Eagleman with Daily Week and fellow Eagle.
Yes, sir.
And one of the ill effects of voter ID law, it is called, is that it creates a lingering confusion among disenfranchised voters about what the requirements are. Talk a little bit about what the NAACP has been doing to help educate voters, and how you will continue to do that even if you win in court, which will also require some training.
Well, the two prongs to that. First, you pass a photo ID law that's the strictest in the country. And by the way, even our law, even with reasonable impediment, is still worse than South Carolina, and South Carolina just took down the Confederate flag less than a year ago. Think about that. Our law is still worse than South Carolina and Alabama's. And for 2 years, the state told everybody you had needed a photo ID. So we were out there educating based on what they said. Then in June, because of the Texas case, because of us marching in the street, because of our great lawyers with Kirkland and the Ellis and the Advancement Project, and they recognized that what they had passed was going to be automatically unconstitutional on its face, because that's what the Texas case said, that photo ID on its face is unconstitutional. They change it. So that means for 2 years you're telling people one thing. Then it takes them from June to about December to start educating people on the new law. And then when they ran the advertisement on the new law, they left out part of their own law, which makes it even more confusing.
Don't forget Monday and Tuesday of this week, they just trained the local boards.
This week?
This week.
Not this week.
Yes, this week.
Oh, yeah, this week. You see, and I mean, and we're almost to the 19th, which is the end of registration, regular registration. We have a primary that's been moved up. Persons haven't been trained. People don't know really what reasonable impediment means. Even if now the election, what's her name, Ms. Strack, who's the State Board of Election, she is now saying that even if your decision is reasonable to you, you have a reasonable impediment, somebody else has to judge the truthfulness of what you say is reasonable. And who's going to make that decision? And then who's going to send your case to the DA and charge you with a felony? And do you bring a lawyer when they call you in to question your reasonableness? And we didn't need any of this. We had signature attestation. You signed your name. You said you were who you are. That's something you're pretty sure of. Now you got to go into personal things that maybe I couldn't read. I don't have a car. I'm too poor. Whatnot. And then even what you say can be questioned by a panel, by the way, whose majority is determined by the sitting governor who signed this mess. So what we're having to educate on all kinds of levels. We have a special brochure going out. That's why these 4,500 people we're trying to recruit, and even more, so that they can go back to these counties and become a mass group of not only encouraging people to vote, but to do massive voter education. And what's so bad about that is we are trying to do it, but we shouldn't have to do it. We should, in America, all that should matter is that you're born or naturalized at 18 years of age. And that's what the Constitution says, you have a right to vote. Phil, come here and say, Phil did not, were you on a Navy ship?
Yes, sir.
Which kind? Come here. What Navy? What
I was in naval aviation.
That mean you flew?
Oh, I was an air crewman.
Did you go to war?
I did.
This man has been arrested. He is a Navy vet. He flew planes in war, fighting for freedom and justice. And if you ask him after I finish talking, I guarantee you he didn't go fight so that he could come back and watch people be denied the right to vote.
Here, here.
That's how serious that is. This is. Yeah. Any others?
I just want to make sure I have the numbers correct. You mentioned 55 counties and you said 95 counties. So
our goal is we're organizing 3,000 faith communities, a minimum of 4,500 volunteers. We're doing deep dive organizing in 55 counties because we've got branches in almost all 100. But we're also going to do more organizing in at least 90 counties. And our youth this coming summer are going to, again, reenact Freedom Summer. You're not going to just read about it in the history book. We're going to reenact it. Students and people of faith are going to be going out all over the summer and continue. So we're organizing both for the primary but also for the greater election. Right now. Okay. And Reverend Law just let me know that on this it says the third. I'm the second. The third is my son. I sent him to law school so he can help me get out of jail whenever I go. Any other questions? Feel free, please talk to people you see here, because this is not about, we say we is the most important word in the justice vocabulary. And on that day, you're going to hear people who've been impacted by these policies. That's why I'm speaking last. because I want people to hear other North Carolinians of all different races, creeds, and colors making the call to say, if you care about health care, I'm somebody that was denied. 346,000 white people, 150,000 black people were denied Medicaid expansion in this state. We're going to have people like that make the call for people to vote like they've never voted before.
People can go to our website and sign up to be a volunteer.
Website, people can sign up on the website, which is HKonJ.com, HKonJ.com, and also they can go to the NAACP, NAACPNC.org. We invite all people to come. We don't want any kind of vulgar messages or vulgar signs. We're very clear. We want signs that are about voting rights. Anything like that, we'll take it down, because we don't have to be mean. We don't have to be ugly. We don't have to do that. We can speak truth and love and justice. And that's what this march, this rally, and this massive organization is all about. If we have to stop because of the weather, we will make that call early Friday. We'll make that call Friday. But we're just asking for a little favor. And for the last 10 years, God has always favored. I don't think but one time we had to postpone. And it never rains on Morrow Monday because of the grace of God. So we're going to ask it not to rain or snow on Morrow Saturday. Thank you all for coming. Please talk to people who are here and get their comments as well.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.